Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Chris? Here. Richard?
Here.
Otis? Here. Sally?
Present.
Do we have any modifications to the agenda for today's meeting? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the agenda for today's meeting?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Do we have any amendments to the minutes from the last meeting? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting? So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Do you have any public comments for items not appearing on the public hearing or consent calendar? Hearing none, and we have no items on the consent calendar. Let's move on to public hearings. We have a public hearing for review and recommendation of an application from Charles and Diane Christensen to purchase 2 tie-line lots from the Petersburg Borough. Do we need testimony in this public hearing? Okay, hearing none. We have consideration of an application from Ty Peterson for a variance from the front yard setback requirement for purposes of constructing a garage 10 feet from the property line, and a variance from the maximum fence height.
Mr. Chairman, we actually had comments submitted on the Christensen.
Okay. Do you want to bring those up in discussion, or do you want to read those into the record now?
Generally, you want to read it into the record during public hearing portion. It's, page 11 on your packet.
Somebody want to read those in? Volunteer?
I'll read it, Chris. It's a letter dated 11/8/18. The other two, have they been?
Those are Carl's.
And Debbie's too, so those will have to be read. Yeah. Well, the one on 11/8/18 will do first. I'm advising the committee to reject the Christensen request to purchase 2 lots from the Petersburg Borough for a couple of reasons. The land that the Christensens would like to purchase has historically been used as neighborhood access to the slough. This is a historical Petersburg area, and not all houses have road access, so having access to the water via this land is a useful option for some folks. This is also the only access point to the slough at low tide for anyone who wants to enjoy the slough by foot, which I would highly recommend if you haven't done so yet. If the Christians were to own this property, the neighborhood will no longer have this point of access to the water or their homes. If you decide to take a walk up the slough at low tide, you will undoubtedly notice the garbage in the slough. Rusty pieces of metal, plastic, plumbing pipes, and ceramics are everywhere. But you don't have to go down into the slough to see the 3 derelict floats or docks that are falling apart and being allowed to float away down the slough. These all belong to the Christensens and have been abandoned for several years on borough property, on the lots being considered to sell, as well as the property on the other side of the Christensen lot. If this is any indication of the behavior as property owners, then it is not in the neighborhood or the borough's best interest to sell these lots to them. Thank you for your consideration, Ruth Johnson. And there were some pictures attached to which are in your packet. Right, and then you notice there's a letter in there from the utility director, Carl Hageman, his statement on it. I also don't have any problem with the Christian request, although I would like to some mention of continuing with the allowance for the current overhead electrical guy that crosses their property and is needed to support the Hammer Slough electrical line. I don't know if the purchase makes much of a difference on the overhead guy issue since they own all the surrounding property, but a simple mention that Paul and Light would like to maintain this span into the future would be appreciated. Hope this helps. Carl Hageman, Utility Director.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to consideration of application from Ty Peterson for a variance from the front yard setback.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
you need to take action on the Christensen.
Okay, I thought we did those later, but,
No,
okay.
you do the hearing and then you take action, and then you go to the next one.
All right. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, you need a motion. Someone needs to make a motion.
Yes. Motion.
So moved.
Have you approved?
Well,
Yeah.
you,
Then we vote.
is that what vote to approve and then talk about it? My motion, I vote to approve.
Second for the matter and discussion.
Okay, discussion?
Really wish the applicant was here to describe why they want to do this.
I guess I haven't paid enough attention to see who can't drive down there that needs to. That land is submerged at high tide, right?
Pretty much. The tide comes up there, yeah. And I believe we're talking about, you don't drive up to it. It's just kind of foot traffic down from, whatever the name of that street is. Hammerslough Street. Yeah, down to the beach is what,
Can they access it the same way on the other side where they've got the other abandoned dock that's on rural land?
between the bridge and the Christensen property, you mean?
The other side,
Yeah.
the other side of the sloop?
No, the bridge between the Christensen property and the bridge. That's where it's talking.
No, I'm talking about the other side of their house.
That's where this piece of property is.
Oh, okay, well, I'm thinking about the other
Yeah.
side of it, okay. See, I thought this was the property in question. I'm talking about over here.
Is there any other, or other borough-owned access land to the slough on that side of this? Or do you know? That's what I was trying to figure out, and I couldn't see anything in here.
Against the, I think up against, closer to that bridge, where there's, you look at those pictures on
Yeah.
pages 12 and 13, I think that's,
So this would be a commercial use type of the property that's in a residential area
the zoning for all those lots is commercial 3 right now.
for the whole thing?
Yeah.
Thank you. I thought it was in the historical division.
Do you mean in the future if the proposed,
Zoning goes through.
yeah, right now it's just commercial.
They've been talking about this being historical for 30 years, but not officially apparently.
Never, no. It's commercial 3, which is the closest thing we have to what would be considered historic, because there's some design standards there. You can't use metal on the, you can use metal on a roof. That's the extent of, more or less the extent of our historic district design standards. But there's nothing official declaring it historic in any way.
Blue tarps.
Blue tarps, yeah, those are allowed.
Is the lot T-125 a borough-owned lot? page 17.
125?
That's on the side toward the bridge.
Oh, I see what you're looking at. Yeah, that's Petersburg Borough.
Okay, okay, I see that now. Thank you.
Did we just get the one comment letter from the neighbors in opposition?
Yeah, one from one neighbor. And we got the letter from the, power line up there by the wire. So,
I'm not sure how much it is it's one way or the other.
No.
I don't like to see this put on the agenda for next month. To make a decision today.
I think it's been put out there and neighbors have been notified. As an objection, he had one letter that objected.
Here's Charlie.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, how you doing?
Is I see in here there's a note about lease. Is it being paid as a lease now, or why was that put in the?
It's not being paid as a lease right now, and then title and sale and lease ordinance was recently changed, and so now one of the things you have to consider is whether it would be more beneficial to the borough to sell or to lease. So that's why that's in there. And just to remind you, you're not deciding, you're just making a recommendation to
I understand that.
the assembly
Yeah.
for everybody. Yeah. And Mr. Christensen just walked in, if you would like to reopen your public hearing. Or, no.
Are you using part of T-128?
On the overhangs, yes. That's the reason that this is an issue.
Looks like it's a deck,
Yeah.
not an awning.
It's an awning.
The picture you're seeing is on the other side of the house. The awning is on the other
Very
side.
confusing.
Yes, the picture you're seeing is the side toward
The bridge,
the bridge.
the orientation of this is all goofy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be this way. The street should be on the right, and the creek should be on the left.
And on page 21, Sally, is the picture of the drawing of the awning which projects over that piece of property.
Yeah, that's, I see it here. Yeah, I'm just saying that the orientation of the map we presented is backwards.
And this portion of the awning is what's sticking out over the line, yeah.
Over 128.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So,
You can look out the window there and see.
Thank you.
yeah, there's only
I don't see it.
questions, you guys? Thoughts?
I don't understand it all yet. The writing is all different directions.
Yeah.
Thanks.
with this ability to clean up.
I think that's a separate issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a complaint about the nuisance on borough land currently,
Right.
which is kind of hard to enforce. Complaint about a nuisance on private property, then the property owner that see.
Clean on both.
Yeah.
Recommendations here. Financially, from the borough standpoint, it makes more sense to lease the property than sell the property.
Is there any interest though, in the lease property if there's no interest?
Yeah, I'm just saying that's what in their recommendations. So,
Remind you guys how small that piece of property that is.
yeah, it's tiny. I understand that. You know, the fact there's two lots there, and one of them is really tiny.
Small.
So,
You want me to address that, I can for a second.
sure.
That will help.
Go ahead, come up and get your name.
Yeah, Charles Christensen, the owner of the property here in Hammerslough. Otis, you might remember when I built that place, it's got quite a history. It's the only place with its own private zoning. If you've noticed the zoning there, it's zoned, I forgot, zoning Z, whatever. We went through quite a tussle when I first built that place there because there was a fear that I was going to ruin the aesthetic value of Hammerslough with this building. It took a couple of years of me going back and forth to planning and zoning and the city council to get this place built, which we finally did. But they even formed a group called Friends of the Hammerslough to try to stop any, if you remember that bunch, to stop any more building in Hammerslough as the buildings kept falling down. And I had one that fell down there myself. So when I got this place built and realizing that, someday we're probably going to do something different with it, I asked for the provisional use for those two lots there so I could build that overhang. The idea is someday put a little float there and have rowboats for whoever's, the bed and breakfast we have now, is to have rowboats so people can have in our new tourist town, we can have the full benefit of living on the water by having rowboats and not have to bail them every 10 minutes because it's got an overhang. Anyway, that's what it's for. And back then, with the much troubles I had building the house in the spot it was then, it was recommended by the planning zoning back then, just get a special use permit on that because we talked about buying it back then, but there was so much opposition to anything being done in Hammerslough that it wouldn't have gone at all. So it's been 35 years or so, I guess, since we built this place and had this special use permit. And I'm in the point now I want to put this little float in and want to get it done with. And then the reason why is I'm surrounded by these little lots. I've got the adjacent lots, the one that the house is on, and there's two more upland from it. So this is just a little teeny sliver in between my lots. And I'd like to go ahead and put the float in and again, purchase this little piece from the city and get it on the tax rolls. It's not big enough for the city to do anything with. I mean, you couldn't lease it to anybody or sell it to anybody to build something on because there's no coming to the setbacks. There'd be nothing there. So anyway, that's the reason why we want to purchase it now, and so I can just move ahead, put my float in. We won't have to worry about coming back later and tearing everything down or moving things, and then I can consolidate all those three lots because they're all small into one lot down there. Any questions?
One of the things that came in from one of your neighbors was that there's a lot of garbage on the beach.
Well, that stuff is an old float there that actually came down. Well, one float's mine,
Yeah.
and it's on my property.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, aesthetically speaking, you know, if you're talking about the terrace and all that, are you going to kind of split things up a little bit?
well, that stuff came down the float. Those were floats that were dug up Hammer Slough, and they were tied up to Kenny Hammer's warehouse. And they were over bashing into mine, so I just moved them down to the pole where they are now. I'll take them out of there if you want me to, but they're not mine,
No.
okay?
On your property, though?
No, those are on the city property. And the other float is mine, and that's a good float. There's nothing wrong with that float, and it's for putting our skiffs on in our kayaks in the summertime. It's a log float that we got from Icicle, and this is my float. There's nothing there that's garbage about it. It's a good float.
Well, we were just going by the pictures we received from one of the neighbors, and they don't look real good.
I hope you're looking at the right one, because the only float I've got is the one there with the log float.
I think they didn't show us that one.
Yeah, this stuff out here is an old raft and a float that the city had, and somebody was going to use it for a float up here. I'll move it out of there if you want me to, but I think the only thing there that was mine was the kids' raft there. It's kind of gone to hell, so.
What we're being shown in our packet is pretty ugly.
Okay, so that's not the property, okay? So I disregard that. So unless you want me to clean something up around there, you can ask me to. I'll take my broom truck and clean it up. But what I'm talking about is the lots on the northwest side, not your power pole, not the snow dump. So, yeah, if something needs cleaned up there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Charlie.
You guys ready?
Ready?
Yeah.
Call roll?
Chris.
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
Otis.
Yes.
Sally.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Is there a recommendation to sell the property to the borough assembly? Consideration of an application from Ty Peterson for a variance from the front yard setback requirement for the purpose of constructing the garage 10 feet from the property line, and a variance from the maximum fence height requirement for purposes of constructing a 16-foot fence at 715 Sandy Beach Road. Do we have any testimony?
Are you going to read the comments?
We got it.
Got a motion,
Hold on, we have some written comments.
comments, okay?
Got one. Oh, do you have? I'll read one of them here first while Liz is looking. Concerning applications of Ty Peterson, dear folks, Ty has two applications, each of different considerations. First, his request to construct a 16-foot fence. This should be granted. His neighbor has taken years and has yet to finish a building that is a neighborhood eyesore. It dwarfs the houses closest to it, and its height due to the rock pad that was built upon destroys the privacy of those homes. Second, his request to have a variance from the front yard setback requirement raises an issue for all of us who reside on the Sandy Beach Road, namely that the 60-foot setback makes no sense. And I think he's talking about the right-of-way. No sense because Sandy Beach is no longer a state highway. I would urge that his request be granted as part of a decision to change the requirement of all Sandy Beach residents. Thank you for consideration of these issues. Sincerely, John Hogue. And
Thank you.
We also have comments from Don Koenigs, who wrote comments on the application and submitted it. so a little bit harder to read as a narrative.
Yeah.
But starting on page 38, regarding the setback request for the garage, Mr. Koenig states it's not a good reason for not adhering to the 20-foot setback today. And he is referring to the fact that there's such a wide easement at that location. And then later on, in response to the fact that the garage would be 50 feet or more from the road edge, he writes, okay, which... and then regarding the fence height variance, in response to the application saying that the gravel pad is 9 feet above the grade of the subject parcel, he says not so. Look at the picture. In regard to the neighbor putting in a gravel pad that's 9 feet above the grade, and the house being pushed out further than the rest of the houses, Mr. Koenig states the neighbor fully used his lot. The front of the houses are about in line. The water extends 20 feet further towards the water. In response to the need for a privacy fence because of the elevation, Mr. Koenig states that the petitioner foundation is about 2.5 feet below the neighbors. And in response to why the granting of the variance would not result in damage to neighboring properties, Mr. Koenig stated the privacy issue could be resolved by installing curtains or blinds on the windows. If the fence blocks a neighbor's view, blocks the neighbor's view, can something, and it got cut off, but I imagine it wasn't a positive statement at the end there.
So the original garage is now part of the house as a room, not as a garage?
That's correct.
Move to accept the first variance requested,
That's the variance from the front yard setback.
the A. Maybe we should handle both these.
Yeah, actually,
I move to accept the first variance.
you have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Okay, we're 42 feet from the front of the garage.
Yeah.
Edge of the pavement and Sandy Beach.
Mr. Chairman,
Please, come to
it's
the...
going to have to go up to the... And are you still having public hearing, or you made a motion and
You
seconded?
made a motion.
And seconded?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so you're just asking specific questions at this point?
Specifying it for you. I don't know, my name's Ty Peterson, I'm the property owner requesting variance. Currently, the edge of the pavement at Sandy Beach Road to the edge of my property is 42 feet. So it would be another 10 feet beyond that, which would make it 52 feet from the edge of Sandy Beach Road to the edge of my building. Does that clarify what you're...
From the edge of the road to the front of your building?
Correct.
Okay.
But not the edge of your property,
It's
your physical building.
It's to the one I'm proposing to build. It's 42 feet from the edge of Sandy Beach Road to the pavement to edge to the property line. Yeah.
And you're proposing the entrance of the garage to be on the southeast side there, kind of along the front of the house?
You'd be coming you drive in from the opposite side of the property and make a left turn and go into the garage.
You're not driving straight in from...
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought. And how many car garage are you expecting to build?
It's going to be a 3-car garage and a carport.
3-car garage and a carport. Right.
I don't know if it matters, but I'd like to amend my motion. I'd like to add a requirement that the garage door be on the side and not on the... It goes along with what he's saying, that it makes it a requirement.
Mr. Chairman, you got to speak into the microphone because I can't hear anything Richard's saying, if you wouldn't mind.
Let me say this again. I'd like to add a requirement that the garage door be on the side instead of on the street side. It goes along with what Ty is saying. It's just that it cements it. So that the vehicles aren't backing out if for whatever reason they ever widen the road there into the street.
Does that work for you?
Yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing. That's fine with me, so.
So you're not encroaching on,
We need to vote on the amendment.
Well, we have a further discussion before we vote.
On the amendment.
Yeah.
I believe you're not encroaching on the right-of-way of the road at all. Correct. You're just within 10 feet of it. And
Yes, I'll be 10 feet from the edge of the front of my property line to my house, and then it'll be another 42 feet to the road, for a total of 52 feet from the edge of Sandy Beach Road to the edge of my property, of which the driveway will come in from the other side of the property and make a left turn for the garage door entrances.
okay, you're not encroaching on the property line at all.
No,
You're just less distance
correct.
than calls for.
That's the right of way, it's, so that's part of the borough.
We've done this a time or two before, where that's a long way from the highway.
Trust me, it's quite a long ways from the highway, and as compared to when you go out towards AML, there's garages and houses that are 10 feet from the edge of the pavement, 20 feet at most.
But it's just for clarification, the setback on this is 20 feet, correct?
Yes.
Thank you, John.
And he's only 10.
He's asking to be 10.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Correct.
Okay. On the amendment here to Richard's question, is the carport going to be at this far end, the road end, use the 3-car garage, and then the end is going to be a carport?
Correct.
So basically, his question of approaching from the driveway side, it'll be open on the roadside end, so you could actually approach it from that side, correct?
If it needs to be, I can leave it open. I was probably going to close it in for aesthetic reasons, but
And that would make it more so to come in line with what Richard was asking for, that you only approach from the southeast side or whatever. Yeah, which is your plans anyway, correct?
that's correct. And then the driveway will be like a horseshoe where you can drive in and then drive past the garage as you're coming back to the road.
Okay, that's...
So that end would be closed. You wouldn't have an open carport on both sides.
If I'm understanding that correctly, you'd have to close that end towards the street.
Right, but I mean, I was not going to put a garage door in front of it.
But it would have to be, it couldn't be an open carport, right? It would be closed off in some way.
It'd be closed off.
Yeah.
But with no garage door.
It doesn't have to, no garage door. Yeah, okay.
Yes. Roll call?
What are we,
We're voting on the amendment. For state word garage.
Chris?
What?
Chris?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Otis?
yeah,
Sally?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, you need to adopt findings of fact to go with your, I think you could just focus on number 2.
Somebody have a suggestion for amending the findings of fact? On the page 27.
that helps.
We sort of dealt with this by don't want to encroach on the road, but now we just put it back in line for outdoor.
Yeah.
Use the right way too.
Yeah.
And we've used that in the past.
Larger than most houses.
I don't see Sandy Beach really growing.
You don't see a double lane highway there?
I don't see a double lane highway there, so,
Not at 25 miles an hour.
no. So I think maybe the size of the right of way is excessive.
We're saying, due to the size of the right of way, there is not ample space in front of the home to construct a sizable garage. So it's change the word, you have to change the word in that.
Yes.
You have a motion to change the word in that for findings of fact. Yeah.
Could you restate the motion? I can't really hear anything you guys are saying, honestly.
Can't they just move their microphones closer?
Either are the microphones on, because I can't hear it.
I think they're on.
Yeah? It's okay.
Lights are on.
I really can't hear anything.
You would change it to, due to the size of the right of way, there is not ample space in front of the home to construct a sizable garage. Is what the amendment would say.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you do that?
I heard that,
Okay.
but really? I mean, you really believe that? Honestly? Okay.
That's basically what I'm hearing. I'm just stating what I'm hearing.
The huge right away.
I'm not, well, that actually addresses number one, not number two. You know, the right-of-way is number one. We're talking about number two. So you're saying there's not enough room between the house and the 20-foot setback to build a garage?
That's all we're saying.
Okay.
We're separating the two.
Yeah, no, I just want to make clear, you're saying there's not enough room with the setback to build a garage?
Not the size the property owners wish.
You're saying it has to be more than 10 feet back from the right of way?
This is 10, he's requesting 10 feet.
Right.
And build a four-car structure, which is 20 feet, you're pretty narrow on each one of the bays. I think 15 feet would give an adequate amount of space. 20 feet's going to be lots of space.
Based on well, some of the other places along there, we were very them to come up that close to the road. Not seeing that what he's got planned is really a problem. Hear that? Back there?
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking to whoever. Did you hear that?
We heard you. Back here.
So is that the motion? Do we want to vote on that
I'm
amendment?
not sure what the motion is yet.
The motion was to change the wording that due to the size of the right-of-way, there is not ample space in front of the home to construct a sizable garage.
Okay.
Ready to vote?
Yep.
Chris?
No.
Richard?
Yes.
Otis?
No.
Sally?
Okay. The amendment fails on that on right-of-way, for that portion. Is there a suggestion of how to amend this to make it pass, or should we go on the basic motion? I would suggest giving variance of 5 feet, so that they have 15 feet back from the right-of-way instead of 20. We can still give them adequate space to build a full-car garage. That's just going to be like 10.5-foot bays, which is still adequate for a full-car garage. But I don't see that going that is necessary. Lots.
Pretty huge for a single-family home.
And after all, this is a residential district. That is big.
Most cars aren't 35 feet long
Yeah.
to drive in.
I can understand how many people are loaded in there, but
The flip side is when you don't allow enough covered space, and
Could you come back to the mic, please?
Sure.
If we were going to act, splitting the difference, would that impact you hugely?
It would alter the plan, but like, if you have a 28-foot boat, the trailer would be 34 feet long from the back of the motor to the front of the tongue. That's kind of what I'm looking at for plan-wise. And that boat's 9.5 feet, so if you want a foot and a half on each side, for a carport, you need about 12 feet at least, if not 14. That's where the additional space is. I mean, 5 feet is better than one. It would probably reduce it to a 2-car garage from a 3-car garage. And if I put any kind of workshop in front of the vehicles, that's what the additional space for my full-size pickup truck, you know, with a 4-door and full-size bed, that's 24 feet long.
And then it changed that, and then it changed the findings of fact to go along with it. So doing a 15-foot setback instead. We have to change the findings of fact. So I would change the findings of fact to state that we were doing 15-foot setback. Like 10?
Fine with that.
We have to do something like finding fact, so, and address it. So, on your own, say, yes. So, somebody state it, how do you want it to read?
Can we say something to the effect that we approve of his 10-foot setback, just like he asking for?
We already mitigated part of this by just requiring that the garage door would be on the side instead of on the street side.
Okay.
So I think this would be the case had we not made that amendment that required the garage door on the side.
Well, state that somebody read that findings of fact, so they can go on the record, please.
Maybe he's a finding of
It's number 2 on page 27.
Because that setback is pretty minimal if you're going to back straight in off the street. You've got a 34-foot boat trailer plus another 20-foot pickup truck. You're 50 feet trying to aim into a tiny hole to back this thing into. Don't really want that kind of activity on Sandy Beach Road, rather have it on the side of it.
Right.
So there is kind of safety aspect. Empty.
Yeah. Well,
Still.
how do you state it in the findings of fact? That's what I'm not going to
New Jersey anymore.
It's a different, well, we're trying to argue what
So how would not allow us to go to the garage so we would design the,
Use the solid, possibly parking.
Say something to affect you because you're huge right away. There's ample space for 10 foot back from the road.
right away effectively
Yeah.
well, there's the setback is up to, it's 42 feet from the edge of the road to the front property line, and then we're asking for the setback from the addition. It's 20 feet this way. So it's basically 62 feet from the pavement to the, where it gets up there. So he's asking to reduce that by 10 feet, so instead of being at 50 feet. So,
well, strict application of is the result of additional difficulties in both.
I think the only way to build a structure the size you would like to build it would be able to meet code requirements, would be to turn the building and put it in front of the house and then be backing stuff in from the street, which is not, is less than optimal. So, but,
With strict application of this kind would result in additional difficulties because you have the questions also now.
Backing the building result on traffic.
you just need to state it in a form that can go over its building. I would say something with back across the building, besides garage, house, home designers, would require the garage to position essentially rising garage could create issues. That's how you guys would do it. Well, it's exactly not. You need to address why the building, I mean, you need to address why the building garage another way to result in an issue that would make it better to build this way.
motion to amend number 2, the variance A, setback, here to read as follows, setback, the 10-foot setback allows the homeowner to build a garage he desires to fit with lifestyle and stored and housed both vehicles. This allows for safer access and turn radius from Sandy Beach Road.
Actually, can we,
Further discussion on it?
I just want to make sure we said 10 foot, right?
Yeah.
So the original,
Correct.
okay. And then, are we still doing the thing about you have to enter from the side, not on the street?
That's already been
That
done.
amendment's already been passed.
Yeah?
You couldn't hear us, but we did.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear you. And so that was part of findings of fact for 3?
That is an amendment first, before we got into the first
Okay.
discussion of findings of fact.
Okay. So 10 feet allow for placement? Something about allowing for placement of the garage?
Don't need to reread it.
Yeah, because I couldn't hear anything.
The 10-foot setback allows the homeowners to build the garage he desires to fit with lifestyle and stored and housed both vehicles. This allows for safer access and turn radius from Sandy Beach Road.
All right. So, on the amendment, need a roll call?
Chris.
Yes.
Otis.
yes,
Richard.
Yes.
Sally.
Yes.
Okay, you ready to vote on the original motion to approve? With or as amended?
Does that include the garage door thing?
Yes, because those two amendments are passed.
Amendments.
Chris.
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
Sally.
Yes.
Otis.
yes.
Okay. Moving on to the fence.
Motion to approve amendment, or a variance B on this application.
Address on fence.
And addressing the findings of fact.
Do you have a second?
Yes, for purposes of discussion.
Discussion?
We're talking
Every
about
time,
Yeah.
every time I've seen a fence over 8 feet tall in years, it's laying.
They blow down, yeah.
They're a great big area, massive.
Excuse me, thank you.
If you have those things to take place, so. I would really think it's a bad idea.
Maybe I can come up with a scratch fence proposal.
Yeah. So you're talking just 37 feet of fence there?
Yes, 36 feet, I think.
Well, it's a 37,
It might be 37, I'm
something else.
going off of memory here, so.
What, just a bunch of arbors, you nicer?
Well, except for the leaves fall off the others during the winter.
Is there one window on that side of the property? Or
There's
several?
4
Or
that
you can see
can,
the one in the front
yes.
in the photos.
what kind of fence would it be? How would you build it?
The fence, I'm gonna have, they're basically concrete blocks. They're about 5 feet long and 2.5 feet wide and 2.5 feet tall. I would attach a 4x6 post from that, and I would go up from that, and then have them 12 feet apart. The entire fence would not be 16 feet tall. It would just 16 feet is high enough just for privacy from the neighbor's house to be looking into my house. That's all I'm asking for. The portion, as you get closer to the road, it slopes up, so the fence would not be, it'd probably get to about 12 feet high by the time, as you got further away from the beach, because it slopes upward towards the road.
Well, I'm against it for maybe a different reason, but that I know the fire marshal wouldn't like something that would prevent machinery to go back between the buildings.
Well, it's not between the buildings. My house is, it's going to end before the back of my house.
Well, yeah, but it's one side of the back, the side of the house, yeah. I think I understand where it goes.
It's forward of the house.
Forward of the house.
See right here? There's the house and the fence is right here. Is this guy's
I'm
house?
like, okay, I think which is forward and back.
What I was trying to do is cover the 2 windows that are in the room, and then the other 4 windows are in the garage, so that wouldn't bother me.
Correct, because I have no windows on the side of my house.
And then they just kind of want this view. Exterior.
Wouldn't it be easier to build a 5 foot, 6, 8 foot box around your window? You still could light in, but you wouldn't see.
A box around my windows?
You'd come out from the house, I don't know, 2 feet, 5 feet.
So,
Have it so it covers the window.
I should do that with all my windows on the water side of the house?
This is the water side of the
Yeah,
house?
this was obstructed here.
This is all windows to the water. And this is the
Oh,
guy with the...
I thought it was the side of the house, but it's not.
No, it's the ocean side.
Fence would be basically down here to prevent these 2 big windows from gazing into all this house here. Here's another shot. This one shows the cabinets. This is where the garage is going to go. All the bedrooms.
Let's say we finish that house.
These 2 buttons here. This shows the mechanic's response to the different things that are being proposed. That's what these are, King's comments.
Yeah.
This is the picture of the guy standing on the phone. And you can see the windows and there's nothing here. It goes right next to the house.
Water's over here. And the fence is behind the house.
It's on the side of the house. in the back.
It's not between the buildings.
The guy's right here.
Yeah, so between the 2 houses, the wooden fence is only past Ty's house where the fence gets started.
What does that do to the neighbor's view? Anything?
Doesn't look like it obstructs it from St. Beach. Just obstructs it from the neighbor looking back at Ty's house.
16 feet high, wowza.
Yeah. That's the main.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Totally a one-story house. Do you have any other examples of
I don't recall anything over an 8-foot fence that's been requested before. Liz? Joe?
The only one I know is where Dallas used to live. There's a
Yeah, that was an industrial piece of property, and that was put up pretty much at the request of the Planning and Zoning Commission to block that view of that lot. Because it was a junkyard.
Yeah.
So it was, I believe, I think it goes up to like 10 feet or something like that was the height on that one. But it's totally different zoning too.
Right. But that's it, where I know.
Well, I know this is a problem on Sandy Beach Road. I have friends that live in a house a little further down past my house, and they never open their living room window on the south end side of the house because the neighbor next to them's property is so much higher, they gaze right down into the living room. And it is uncomfortable, and they are very close together. I have sympathy here, but at the same time, a 16-foot fence is wowzer.
I'm not sure that's the best solution to the problem because anything over like 8 feet tall, you have real trouble maintaining the fence line. And not having it blown over becomes more of an issue.
Sounds like you're building a very hardy fence, though,
Yeah.
or screen.
I would be more willing to discuss maybe a little bit taller fence, but lots of vegetation planted along the fence.
I think vegetation might be a better solution to the problem.
Takes you years.
Yeah.
The house might not be finished for a few years next door.
You guys ready to vote?
What are we voting on?
To approve the fence or not approve the fence?
A 16-foot tall fence.
I don't think a smaller fence is going to address the issue.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I don't think a small fence. Vegetation is the better solution.
you ready to vote? Roll call?
Chris?
No.
Sally?
No.
Otis?
Yes.
Richard?
No.
Okay. Variance for the 10-foot setback passes and the variance for the fence fails. Moving on. We have a public hearing for a consideration of application from David Bird, a variance from the front yard setback requirement for purposes of constructing a single-family home 2 feet from the property line at 215 Midcoff Highway. Have any public testimony? Yep. Please come up and state your name.
My name is Joshua Adams. I recently moved here, get married to Lisa Schrammick, and I bought a house that was a foreclosure from Wells Fargo. One of the main reasons I bought the house is we were afraid that the person who bought it would tear it down, and that is almost certainly the case. I found enough things wrong with the house that we were still working on it, and I don't think a lot of people would have had the patience or the wherewithal to do what we've done to it. And it's nice to live out here, and this is the second testimony, the first one I wrote to, about a variance on Metcalf Highway, right in front of our house. And they both affect us. And I just wanted to give my testimony to give kind of a hoorah to the people that want to build out there, because it's right on the Narrows. It's a good place, I think, to build, a good place to live. And these people who want to propose their variance, it makes absolute sense to me that they do it the way that they do it. It kind of helps keep everything sort of in line, and I think that that's kind of characteristic of this town, that people kind of come together and they negotiate on how they want things to look. And it's part of the reason I moved to Petersburg. People really care about their cultural patrimony and their history. They restore old houses, and they even write books about houses here and the way that they used to look. And a lot of people understand that there's a history of the houses that weren't even in the same place that they are today, like that one over there, for example, floated across the slough. Anyway, I just wanted to say that it made sense. It makes a lot of sense to me. It affects my view in a minor way, and I'm okay with that, because I live on the uphill side of the street. And there was another one that was proposed. These people coming up from Oregon that wanted to build a house, and it also affects me, and I also approve of them building, because I think it's a good thing. We're coming out of a recession, and it makes a lot of sense right now for an assembly or a town to want to sell some of its property, to want to encourage building, because that's tax dollars. That's property taxes for us, for all of our projects, for harbor renewals, for roads, schools, everything. And we'll need that. So these people want to build, we say let them. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I just have, my name's Nancy Berg. Thank you. I just want to make something clear. It's 216 Metcalf Highway. It says 215 on this agenda, but that's the wrong address. So
Couldn't figure it out.
you had to be on the other side of the street.
I noticed in this other book, it's right in the book.
Yeah. So I didn't even think of it in that respect about the tax roll, but, that's an old shop there that's on our property now, next to where we presently live. And last winter took a big toll on the little foundation on part of it, and so it's kind of like this now. And we had the discussion about fixing the foundation on an old shop or building a retirement home there. So that's our plan, is to just build a single story for us. And we found out in planning it a little bit that we have another hurdle to go through, is that the light pole that's holding up the big power, no, not the power pole, the light pole. Well, the power pole is there, but the light pole is just holding up a light. And it's right in the middle of where we want to put our garage. That's a state issue, so we're kind of learning all kinds of stuff here. Like, okay.
Besides that.
Yeah. It's kind of like, yeah. It's solid. I mean, we've had people look at it and say it's not going to fall over, but, Mr. Chairman, we also received an email last night that didn't make it into your packets, and it's from Brian and Tina Lynch, 228 Metcalf Highway. We are in support of Dave and Nancy Berg's variance request to be taken up at the November 13th Planning Commission meeting. Thank you, Brian and Tina Lynch.
Thank you. Question for you all, Mike, is the two adjoining houses that are listed on there are both very similar in setback. Liz?
Right. One is the Berg's current house. Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that, so that it's,
I think with, there's a picture, it's not in here. I think with the current house, and Nancy, correct me if I'm wrong, there's like a little bit of kind of a bridge between the road and where the house actually starts, about that goes into your garage, right, into your house. I don't know what the separation is there, but...
Right. Well, when the state increased the size of the road there, they built a bridge over to our garage. And so, yeah. But it is in line. That's kind of one of the reasons we wanted to do it. We didn't want to set back and then be right in front of our neighbor's view. In fact, we just did a little bit of tree removal, and our neighbors are ecstatic. We thought they might be bummed, but they're like, wow, our view is like so much better now. So...
There's that one more question on this. There's no issue with easements or anything, for power or anything?
No, I think they've got it all covered in that right away. Yeah, as far as I know, there isn't anything else there. and if they didn't cover it in that right away, they sure as heck should have, because they've got a lot of room.
I don't see a plan here for the house. Does it meet the maximum height requirements? Minimum, whatever you call it?
That would all be handled under the building permit process, so they would have to. Yeah, it's a one-story house. It'll be a one-story house.
So two in here.
Well, it's got a garage, it's got a shop under it. But as far as from the road, that's just one story.
So it's got like the daylight basement and then the house.
Mm-hmm.
Just one story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, kind of, it says a two-story single-family residence with a daylight basement. So it's kind of confusing whether the 2 stories are going on top of your basement.
Yeah, no, just one. Yeah.
The existing house and the shop building are 2 separate lots?
Yes. Yep.
I don't have any further questions. Any further discussion? We have a motion?
The motion we approve the requested variance.
Second?
I just want to clarify, you're accepting, you're doing the 2-foot, right, not the 5-foot recommended? Okay, because just to be consistent with what you just did a few minutes ago, the opening, the garage is going to open out into the street. And so just so that you're aware of that, you're going to have to change the findings of fact to address the safety issue at the end.
Mr. Chair, can I ever ask Nancy a question? So the question I got is the existing house that got a variance to build on the existing lot was right down the street there. They're right on the front property line. They ran into a problem when all of a sudden they had their front entryway and they wanted to put a porch over their front entryway. You know what I mean? So are you not going to run into this problem if you're going to come 2 foot from the property line, realizing that you can't put porches out front?
No. Well, it'd be the porch and then the house. But the porch would be
The 2
at
foot.
the 2 foot. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything on the face of it would be at the same distance from the property line.
Well, yeah, because her existing house, you remember how that was, and then all of a sudden her front entry was there, and all of a sudden I want to build a little cover over this front entry, and
No,
it's kind of...
as far as we know, what we've looked at so far, it's all in line. So the garage, the front porch, and the front of the house are all the same dimension.
So nothing will stick further than what you're proposing.
I guess I just want to clarify, because if you have a porch, it's not, your porch isn't going to stick out past your garage?
No.
It's going to be, the garage is going to be...
Kind of a little indentation.
Indented in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's what the plan we looked at so far is, but yeah.
Okay.
So do you want to modify the fact? Go for 2 foot, or do you want to accept the findings of fact? And stay with 5 foot as recommended?
5 foot from property line.
5 foot from the property line, yes.
The house now is 2 feet, right?
The existing structure there
Yeah.
is 5 feet high, correct, Liz?
It says 7.
7?
It's 7.
Okay.
But it kind of goes down the slope a little bit, so I can understand their desire to try and keep it at street level, so.
Motion to approve as it's written. We will amend it to accept the 2 foot.
I recommend
The request is for 2 foot. Findings of fact are for 5 foot. Motion is for the 2 foot? Okay. So we either need to amend the findings of fact or
the second page of it.
yeah, I mean, it's so tight to the road.
Definitely all in favor of the 5 foot. The 2 foot's kind of.
Yeah. Yes.
I was just asking my husband about it. He said the places on both sides, our house and Levy's, are both 2 feet from the property line. That's why we
Can I make
wanted...
one last comment, just as a neighbor? The whole reason behind this variance, it almost seems like it should be the norm instead of the variance. The fact that, Metcalf Highway has this line of houses that they're all right up against the road like that. Because they're that way, it looks a lot better. If you have one that stepped back even a little, it's going to look snaggletooth. Just wanted to make that comment.
I can see where the physical circumstances of the lots along there being as narrow as they are. Yeah. Yeah, we have first vote on the motion second on that one. But we have to amend the findings of fact if we're going to do that. So, and it would just be a change of, because the findings of fact would be the same, we just need to change the things to 5 foot. So,
In keeping with the rest of the adjacent.
yeah,
It looked to me like the property farthest out was right in line, and the next building was a little further from the road. Yeah, it looked like it was. Just standing there.
This is the current one right here.
Yeah, it looked like this one was back a little more from the road than the other one's near. Oh, we're looking at it.
Which way? Our house or Levy's? I think it's
I didn't measure it.
Yeah, I'm not-
I was just standing there and it looked like it was back a little.
That corner is right at 2 feet. It's just slightly canted, it looks like.
I didn't see it right then.
It might be the property lines too, you know how they kind
Yeah.
of zigzag around a little bit? I don't know.
What are we talking about?
Along the neighbors.
Oh, yeah.
But this corner is definitely 2 feet. So findings of fact.
We just need to amend the findings of practice. Instead of 5 feet.
We also need to amend number 3, that,
Number 3.
because that's where it talks about the safety concern and about the 5 feet.
Number 2 and number 3.
Well, number 2 is fine, it's just number 3, correct, Liz? You agree with that?
Yeah, number 2 is fine. It just talks about what a shallow lot that is, and it makes sense to have a variance. It's the safety issue is what the 5 feet is there for. They're backing out or pulling out right onto the bike path.
The last last sentence in
Change that 5 to 2.
Except we've got staff recommend we have to get rid of that.
Planning committee.
We're worried about the bike path.
It's no different than the garage now in the current house. It's on the right path.
We usually back into our garage and pull out, so it's a lot. I mean, not saying that everybody's going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a similar problem. I'm just backing my driveway to all that.
So who else do we have?
We want to change this, and all we gotta do is change it from what it is to what we want.
Recommends we came to require setback to
We're talking about eaves hanging over the pipe, the bike path, right?
No.
no, the 2 foot would be the E, am I correct on that?
But when we talking about the exterior wall,
What about the exterior wall of the building?
All building elements 2 feet.
That's,
Yeah.
the eaves are 2 feet
Yeah.
from the property.
The way it's written right now, yeah. You couldn't encroach with the eaves,
Yeah.
yeah.
the planning committee recommends.
Part of addressing is part to deal with not detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare. of that section.
Sure.
Change the 5 to 2.
I think the staff recommends.
The commission recognizes
Okay.
setback, 2-foot setback be in line with adjacent properties.
Okay.
As a suggestion, you could just make the garage, make sure the garage is 5 feet back, so that when they pull out,
So moved.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, just change the staff recommends retain 5-foot setback
On the garage and 2 foot.
to allow.
We would do that. That would be
Just make that,
on 2 foot on the rest of the structure.
It'd be 5 feet on everything then, because it's going to all be one, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
then we wouldn't have to, so
Yeah.
we just want the 5 feet.
Yeah.
Adams was saying that if we do the 5 feet, you're going to have houses in a line except one.
Well, you've got one that's, the one to the north is already over the line actually for part of it.
So, doesn't it show it on here either that the next house to the south of them is right on the top property line as well? That's houses.
The Thorndike property.
That one's right on the line as well.
Yeah, pretty much in line.
Yeah, I can see retaining the 5 foot for safety reasons. Others are not.
You've got that house on either side then that would be unsafe. I mean, everybody's kind of used to things going that way.
Yeah.
You're riding your bike and somebody's garage door opens, you either speed up or stop.
Yeah.
Usually we slow down.
So somebody make an amendment. The motion amendment.
Can you just change the number, is all there is?
Can we do that, Liz? We just change the 5 to a 2?
And commission to staff.
well, you can obviously do what you want, yeah.
Move to amend the number 3 to change the 5 to 2. And staff the commission.
Okay, you have a second?
I second.
Did you change the one in the front too, at the very beginning?
And change the,
I'll just go ahead and do that, right? Just,
Let's do the one on the front as well.
yeah, okay.
roll call?
Chris.
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
Otis.
Yes.
Sally.
Yes.
Okay. The motion and second on the original motion.
Yeah,
Roll call.
I was afraid of that.
Chris.
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
Otis.
Yes.
Sally.
Yes.
Okay. Most agenda items, do we have any commissioner comments?
Excuse me, Chris?
Yes.
Just to let you know, I think we had a power outage
I wonder.
as my computer is offline now.
Okay.
Do you want to take a quick recess and then we can get the computer back on so that we can continue recording? Because otherwise, if you don't mind, I appreciate that. Thank you. Did you? I didn't even see it.
Yeah, well, we've done this for hours, so we come back on anyway. So we come up to speed, probably the internet, but
Two. But that's the eaves.
I don't know what time they over in your
Yeah, I know.
the wall will still be a little bit back, but at least that 16 inch protecting the walls.
What you have now. Oh, you don't?
Well, it just was, we got too close there, I just didn't want to get fancy, we had to see how. What Leaf did. But she was on the existing.
She was basically, yeah.
And around. You actually call it a light standard. So they know it's not the most light standard. Yeah, so.
Well, that's, yeah, it's,
I look at
Okay, and it looks like you're still there. I'm gonna go listen to the website. I'll be right back. Do you have it on pause? No. Okay.
Then I thought, what we'll do is we'll put the two-car garage in still, we'll have all of our mechanical stuff out there, and then a walkway downstairs. And then when we can't walk down the stairs, we'll just set it over top.
there you go.
Oh, yeah, they, you know, they were having a time about it, you know, I mean, they'd have to be here to move it, I mean, we could put it on the other side of that, like, shit runs around, but I like having that on that side of the house, and there's myself up there from the. All right, guys.
Yeah, see you, Nancy.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, Nancy.
See, dangerous.
Yeah, no, really come out. Yeah, my windows are here, well, I don't know if you saw, but I fit my door in the house.
So many levels.
So, my windows are here all, and the crate is less than 5 to 4 inches tall. I'll go get it, back and take it. I'll put it on the trailer and back and put it in the house.
Hi, Deb.
Okay.
Sally? It is recording.
It is? Okay.
We can hear you guys right now
Oh, great.
on the website. And it looks like all the lights for the mics are on. It doesn't show the agenda on the website, but I'm not going to worry about that. The sound is recording.
Okay. Thanks, Debbie. Appreciate it.
You betcha. It has been one of those days.
With the weirdness, weird thing.
Oh my gosh, way too much. Way too much happening on Stovey Old Street. I'm done with this day now.
Okay.
Everybody be good.
Okay, we're back online. You guys? We're live. On the air.
Commissioner comments? Thank you. And then,
This memo thing is,
Yeah.
what is that, the commissioner comments, or is that the other staff comments?
It's under commissioner comments.
Okay.
So, the amendments that you guys made to the development code, two of them were flagged by the attorney
Yeah.
as either you have to fix or she's going to recommend deletion because they're not, one doesn't really make sense and the other one's unenforceable. So the first one on home occupation, the Planning Commission's amendment, and originally it was automotive and boat services were prohibited home occupations, and the Planning Commission added the word major. There's no definition in the code of auto boat services major, and so she says without a definition that we can't enforce it, and maybe even with a definition would be difficult to enforce because we're not going to be overseeing people's projects per se that they're doing. So she said either define major or delete major. And then the second one with the accessory structures, I don't know if I messed this up or if somehow in the translation it got messed up.
That got transposed.
It could be.
It should have been 15, 20, and
35. Okay.
Or maybe it's 15, 25, and 30.
Yeah, I wasn't sure which one it was. I didn't want to presume, and there was nothing in the notes, and everything I had was written this way.
Yeah, there's somehow that, and I was trying to find my notes from the meeting, and I haven't been able to find them yet, but
But you feel like it's 15, 20, 35, which would make a lot more sense.
20, 35, or 25, 35, one of those.
I think it was 15, 25, and 35. The intent was to step up, though. It was originally my amendment.
Yeah, we talked, we hashed it out, and I have notes from the meeting, but I don't have the notes.
Well, that's the thing, it's either 15, 20, 35, or 20, 25, 35. But that's the way, I mean, this weird way I have it written on everything I have.
Yeah.
I have no clue as to what.
We had it all hashed out, because I remember working the numbers out during the meeting, so that it made sense, because it got progressively bigger as your lots got bigger, was the whole idea behind it.
Right.
Because our intent there is to not have people be able to build a big warehouse on a small lot, and by default, turn it into commercial property. And that was the whole idea behind it.
So at 15% on a 15,000 square foot lot, you'd max out at 2,250 square feet for a warehouse. If that's what you wanted. At the 20%, of course, that's 3,000 square feet of warehouse space.
15,000 square foot lot is a big lot, though.
That is a big lot, yeah.
Yeah, that's bigger than most any city lot, for sure. So,
Yeah.
That's not something that you're going to probably see.
in the city limits of the single family, it's like 100 by 100 is mostly the biggest lots.
So they limit you to 750 square feet on a 50 by 100 lot at 15%.
Yeah, that would be about right on that size lot.
100 by 100 lot, what is 20%?
On a 50 by 100, it's 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's 2,000.
2,000, so you got, on a 100 by 100 lot, you could have a 2,000 square foot.
Yeah,
2,000 square feet.
under that 20%, 1,500 under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
I mean, that's
I think it
pretty,
should be 20, 25, 35.
20, 25, 35?
I think so.
That would make more sense to me.
I think that makes more sense.
right, 20,
Just as an example, how big of a shop was Ty Peterson making?
1,400.
It's only 1,400?
Yeah.
And that's a pretty good sized garage,
Yeah.
1,400.
Huge. The whole idea, though, is to, like, somebody has a 50 by 100 lot, you know, you don't want to build a 3,000 square foot
Right.
shop on there in a tiny little house. So,
But you do realize that you're allowing the warehouses to be bigger than the houses because of, it's a bigger percentage of the lot coverage. So, in a 35% lot coverage, 20% of that could be warehouse. So you're going to allow for bigger warehouses and garages than houses.
As the lots get bigger.
Well, no matter what size.
yeah.
So the idea of having that be an accessory which is usually secondary to the house, you're kind of throwing that out the window.
Well,
Just FYI.
Do you guys want to change that?
I like the 15.
You want to go 15, 20, 35? I think just so long as we keep that progression, that you can go bigger when you get on bigger lots. That's what our intent was. So you're not stuck to a set size, because originally when it was written was, this is how big we have accessory
It was
buildings.
like 15%.
Yeah, I like the 15%.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I like it set not 10%.
So 15, 25, 35?
Correct.
Okay. Well, that was the easier one to take care of.
Okay.
Thank you. We're trying. So now this major thing.
I think the other one is we make a definition of major. I mean, to me, it's pretty straightforward. It's something that can be accomplished in a couple hours is minor. Anything beyond that is major.
We're not going to be standing there timing anybody.
How do I enforce that?
Yeah. How do we enforce that? That's the question.
Well, you could define it like that.
But we're not going to be able to, we're not going to know how long it took, because we're not going to stand there and watch.
Well, the thing is, if
We're not going to know what they did.
it's torn apart for days, then that's, and major parts, pieces off the vehicle, that's,
Oh, I'm waiting for parts.
yeah.
I'm waiting for parts.
Still pretty major.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just waiting for the oil filter. We didn't have the right one.
Pretty major if it's sitting there.
It's an oil filter? I mean, I think you guys are
Yeah.
asking us to get into people's business when
Yeah.
we're not going to.
But I think it's one of those things that if you're getting complaints from the neighbors about it, it's probably major. You know, yeah,
No,
Line.
yeah.
it's not always major. I mean, again, we need a clear line that we can say, yeah, that's this or it's not this. And people's complaints, their perception of what's going on versus what is actually going on is sometimes different, And for someone to say something major is going on there, then we would have to go there every single day
Well, for,
and look in their garage, which we can't look in their garage because we don't have the right to look in their garage.
And that's also kind of sticking on the neighbors for proving that they're doing something. But I was like, maybe you could define major as more than one vehicle or both per week.
And again,
But then
it's
you
enforcement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the enforcement problem, but everybody's got a cell phone camera these days, and a lot of date stamps.
Is this the only place we have the word major? Just this one place?
Where it's not defined, yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Commissioner? For enforcement and for the code, the whole ordeal, I guess I was sleeping when they put the item B in there. I think item B should stay no major. I don't think there should be any auto repairs or boat repairs in a residential neighborhood. Just too hard to enforce, and it's too messy, and it's just does not belong in a residential neighborhood as a home occupation. It belongs in a commercial. About a what?
A welding shop.
In a residential?
Like out on 23rd Road. I mean, come on, let's be fair here.
As you're saying, we haven't gotten any complaints.
Yeah, we've gotten them from those real tall guys with the beards.
We have to get something, are you complaining?
Yeah.
And they have to say, yes, we're lodging an official complaint. But when you press them, everybody
It's on our minutes.
backs off. So when I follow up and say, are you actually lodging a complaint? 9 out of 10, the answer is no.
Like us to make a motion?
I just need you to reach consensus. You can make a motion if you want to, if that's easier, but
I agree with Joe, auto and boat service must have,
But you're saying in residential, then you're talking, you know, that encompasses all residential within the borough. You know, so there, you know, if somebody's got more space out the road, say, and wants to do that in their garage, you're still saying, no, you
Maybe
can't.
we can define major.
Because this says not allowed.
You got a special use permit? To do that, if it has spacings out the road?
I don't believe so, under this code.
Maybe we can define major as based on lot size.
Well,
And tie the word major to lot size.
this is prohibited home occupation uses in a residential zone, and it's borough-wide, or service area 1 wide. So, you know, you've got to think about the fact it's not just the small lots in town, it's
Yeah.
everywhere that's residential zone.
Is this considered like for business or just anybody? If I had a boat repair, I was fixing my own boat in my own yard, I'd still...
No, that's allowed.
Well, that would be fine. No, this is just business.
Okay.
So you're buying, it's under home occupation, so it's,
Small business venture,
yeah.
small scale.
So maybe we can just prohibit this in certain zoning classes. Because now we're gonna have the high density residential, and I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong, but we've got all these different residential classes and stuff. And there's certain areas where, yeah, this auto and boat services would be totally no problem, but other sections of residential where maybe it's not such a good idea. Where you're on a postage stamp lot like mine, it's not a good idea to have a business like that.
Yeah.
But where you're a couple miles up the road and you got a 2-acre lot, it's not a problem. So maybe set it here to, well, this is home occupation, so this is only talking about residential lots.
The big thing about the home occupation is that under the new code, you cannot go get a conditional use permit to do something that's outside of what it says in the code. So if the code says it's prohibited, it's prohibited.
Yeah.
So,
That's not new to this, though. It's always been if, you know, it's outside the code, you can't get a conditional use permit.
you know, before we've allowed people to do things that, this is saying there's no way to go get a conditional use permit under this code to go do something.
No, there's no way to get a conditional use permit to do things that are specifically prohibited.
Right. So it's like if we say automotive and boat services are prohibited, right now we've been allowing people to do that. I mean, there are businesses.
I know that we've allowed them, but there are businesses, yeah.
So,
I think there's a little bit of a difference there.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So you're going to prohibit automotive and boat repairs, even minors, even somebody just doing oil changes.
Well, the lawyer says we don't have any definition for major.
Well,
But we can make one up here.
we can either make up a definition.
Then the enforcement's going to be,
Well, that's the thing, is we have something that is reasonably enforceable.
yeah.
So,
And that's where I kind of go back to the maybe different residential classes that we specifically prohibit it in the type residential classes where we don't prohibit it in the other residential classes.
so you can say automotive and boat services are prohibited in
High density residential.
medium density, high density, residential.
And a lot, and maybe permitted in the other residential.
Well, yeah,
That sounds you guys.
Well, low density, the minimum lot size is 8,000 square feet, and that's the majority of all the residential in town here, you know. I mean, that's everything except like the downtown small lot area and kind of the area south of Hagen. Everything else is low density residential, so if you're trying to keep it out of, you know, the kind of dense area,
Just limiting it to that doesn't do that. But if you're trying to allow it, like on Sandy Beach Road and Wrangell Avenue and Clickett Haida, those are all low density. And then Olive Severson's, those probably are the ones that are going to be low density neighborhoods.
Low density residential?
That would be low density, yeah. Because our lot size for low density is not that big. It's only 8,000 square feet, so.
This isn't going to do anything unless we get to a consensus. Thank you, Liz.
I mean, if you guys want to go along and say medium, low, and high density, high, medium, and low density residential, but leave rural residential out of it, that still does give, an opportunity for people if they want to do that, something rural.
Can't you just say it, minimum 1 acre lot size, you can do this? Less than 1 acre?
Or you could say that, automotive and boat services on lots less than 1 acre. Are prohibited.
And we can just tie that right into this automotive road service.
You could just put in there,
On lots smaller than a certain size.
yeah, and whatever.
That's not gonna work though. Here, we got automotive that's on small
Well, this is
lots going on right now,
Yeah,
except they're industrial.
yeah, no, industrial or commercial, this is only dealing with residential.
Right.
So,
I kind of like that idea. What do you guys think?
Instead of major, just say a lot size.
would that be enforceable for you guys? Work?
Yeah, I mean, we would just look at their lot size and you don't qualify for that type of permit. So,
Okay.
yep.
So now,
That's
what's
what-
the size of the lot that we?
Well, a typical city lot, if that's a decent word, is a 1/4 acre. Or small.
Like 12,000 square feet, you mean?
Yeah, I'm open to suggestion of this lot size.
Well, 100 by 100, which you see, is 10,000.
100 by 100 is about a 1/4 acre.
We say lots 10,000, or prohibited on lots smaller than 10,000 square feet?
We have some of those downtown, just so you're clear.
Yeah. Or, I'm open suggestions on
Unresidential
some.
lots.
I'm listening here.
So,
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit tricky on that. I mean, it's easier for us to enforce, but regardless of what district you go into, you can find the anomaly lot that's got,
Yeah.
a lot of, or some downtown lots are, they were 50 by 100 and they got consolidated into 100 by 100. And there's a couple even bigger than that. Same thing in high density. A lot of those have been consolidated into larger than the minimum. A lot of Sandy Beach lots are bigger than that.
and if we could even say medium density and high density lots is prohibited completely, and that it's allowed on low density and rural residential on lots over
10,000 or
10,000 or over.
Again, you're going to get almost all of Sandy Beach Road
Yeah.
included in that, allowed, and Wrangell Avenue, and a lot of airport subdivision.
That's, as I said.
And some of Severson's.
Suggestions as to
Yeah,
what you guys.
at that lot size.
So,
And Arness Heights is all going to be in there, allowed.
So what about Buckman 12? Start to cut out if you want.
Yep.
again, I think you're going to get all of Arness Heights, you're going to get most of Sandy Beach Road, I think you're going to get most of Wrangell Avenue, and a bit of Severson's, a few in Severson's.
Like my lot on Sandy Beach Road is 200 acres.
Yeah, so,
But the thing
I
is,
mean, my lot, and it's on Wrangell Avenue, is 13 something,
restricting out
so.
those areas too. If people in those areas say, hey, we want to restrict this area and not have that in there, that can also be done under a special use district, can't it? And say, we will prohibit it in this district.
Much easier to decide where it's,
Yeah.
Do it this way than create a whole special use district just for
Yeah.
automotive and,
I'm just, it's another way to address it. People want to restrict further on homeowners occupation. They can restrict it,
but it's not, and that won't come about until after it happens,
Yeah.
right? At which point someone's going to be grandfathered in and you're already going to have everyone angry.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
well, I think in a situation, if you say, well, we're going to try to get to a size where we're restricting it out of a certain area, then we're going to end up restricting it out of all of service area 1. So, because there's always going to be that exception 1.
I don't want to see it in any residential areas. Whether commercial or industrial, as far as I'm concerned, that's probably real.
Well, the problem we're running into there is the fact that, a lot of businesses are, they start out small and they've got to be able to start out as a home-based occupation. If they don't, they can't afford to go out and buy the extra property, is the thing. So we're making it really hard for somebody to start out.
Well, storage of fireworks, I don't think should be anywhere near any house.
No, and that's,
Junk, and I don't live in both that.
we've already covered that in here.
Yeah, I personally, I kind of like not having it in any residential areas. I mean, I have a neighbor who repairs boat engines all summer long until 10 o'clock at night. And it's going 90,000 decibels, and we're trying to sleep. And I prefer he didn't do it next door to me. But right now we can.
Well, is he, even under the new code, if he's got a conditional use to do that, he's grandfathered in?
I don't know if he has a conditional use to do it.
Yeah, well then,
But I suppose I should have couldn't see.
yeah,
But it is annoying as heck.
yeah. But there are restrictions on a lot of these things that if they're making noise beyond a certain amount, they will not get out and operate there. So that's already covered.
One time we rented a barn in industrial. And it was $200 a day we had to rent the place. We needed it. Well, so we were working late at night. And third night, working past midnight, the cop showed up. He said, you guys gotta quit. He said, we're industrial. He said, I don't care what you're in. You're either getting out of here or you're going to jail.
There are noise ordinances.
Honey yards? He said, we got babies crying, we got people, we were running drills and grinders and
We still need to address.
hammer and aluminum.
you guys can think about it. You can talk about it at the next meeting if you want to. We have
But one solved.
one more shot. That's not bad, 50%. Yeah, one out of two.
Why don't we all think about how to address this and come up with ideas and then come back at the next meeting and see if we can, let's put this back on the agenda for us and we'll come up with some sort of solution. Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye. I'll be here next month. Pretty sure.
Okay. I have all in my lunch,
December 11th, I'll be back.
all in my lunch at Coastal, hopefully they're still open.
You're going to be gone, Richard? Is that what you said?
I think I'll be here.
Oh, you'll be here. Okay. Otis?
I don't think I'm going this place,
I'll be here.
Excellent.
but I'm not planning it
Yeah, I
yet.
got stuff, probably got stuff for you to sign here.
Okay.
I don't think you guys get to sign anything beyond minutes, right? Don't sign anything beyond the minutes, because
We amended them. Yeah. So he doesn't need to sign it.
unless there's minutes up there to sign from this meeting, from last meeting.
But it's the one from last meeting, I'm signing those.
Yeah, yeah. There's still time for you to
My lunch. They get cooked.
This one is